Everyone has moments in life they can't just stop thinking about. They can be embarrassing things, like that one time you face planted in front of a group of teenagers, or something amazing like the first time you hosted your family for the holidays. And on Baby, This is Keke Palmer, hosted by me, Keke Palmer, and presented by BMW, we know to savor the good memories and let go of the bad. And one thing everyone remembers fondly is their first time behind the wheel of a BMW. So come join me and BMW this summer as we explore pop culture moments and topics you just can't stop thinking about on Baby, This is Keke Palmer, sponsored by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th.
We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
And welcome back to Scarred for Life, the podcast where we open up old wounds by looking back at the films that scared us as kids. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth.
And each episode, our special guest brings with them a movie that traumatized them as a child.
This week, our guest is Josh Korngut, Dread Central's culture editor and host of the podcast Development Hell on Dread Central's podcast network. He is also the co-director of the short film Best Friends Forever with Emily Gagne, and it made the festival circuit, and it is an incredible short. And also, little known fact, he was a PA on the set of Big Brother Canada.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Welcome to the show.
Yes. Wow, thank you. I was just trying to erase that from my history.
Embrace it.
But now everybody knows. You know what? The truth of the matter is, and I haven't actually told you this yet, I wasn't just a PA. I was a craft PA. So I was literally just making sandwiches.
At the table, like handing out snacks to people.
Oh, yeah. Or not even like in like the second kitchen, like miles away from everybody else. No one could see me. Very scullery.
Did you have to like work weird hours?
Yeah, it was insane. It was crazy. Yes. Because it's a 24-hour machine. It never stops. It
and
never
so,
sleeps.
like, are you feeding them?
I'm not feeding them, although occasionally I am if they need, like, weird pizza for a challenge or something. Generally, I'm just feeding the crew, making them cheese plates. It's so pathetic. And I had been to so much school. So, like 4 years of university, a year of college, so ready to start my journey, and then I'm making cheese platters for 2 years.
That's how I felt after I graduated.
And they were not nice.
When I graduated from college and I was a bartender, and I was like, did I really just go through all of that for this?
At least you got tips.
That's true. That's
and at least you got to be like cool.
You were just in a skull. You're a scullery maid in the back, getting
Scullery
yelled at to
maid.
make cheese plates and like bologna sandwiches.
So much yelling. And you know who's always the worst? The editors.
Really?
They are angry. They're so angry.
I can
must be a horrible
sympathize,
job.
and I don't even edit like actual shows. Editing is a fucking nightmare sometimes. So maybe I do understand.
And they're like in a tower really far away, and you have to like not drop the cheese plate the whole time. It's very.
They've never seen the sun. They're
traumatic.
like bats. They like hiss when they come out. That's how I feel when I edit a video.
That's how I feel when I edit audio.
That's how I feel right now. No, I'm good. No, I'm fine. I'm so good.
Speaking of blasting to the face with sun and freaking out, let's talk about horror. How did you get introduced to horror?
I believe the first horror movie I ever saw was I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is, I think it's actually a pretty good one for a number one. But before then, I was a big Buffy fan. Buffy really freaked me out. Actually, the truth is that what I was really scarred for life by was not a movie, but an episode of Buffy. But then Mary Beth was like, you can't bring in an episode of Buffy. That's horrible. So then I pivoted.
I would like to send a screenshot where I
so
said you can
was
bring
my
an
journey.
episode of Buffy, everybody.
The word can was in all caps, though.
You
Bring an episode of Buffy.
But
Yeah. But then it was the gateway teen slashers of the 90s. And this, I think the movie we're going to talk about today falls into that. That kind of was my gateway to real horror. And here we are.
So you kind of grew up in that time frame then of the 90s slasher craze, is that?
Hell, yes. So I was a kid in the 90s, and in the 2000s is when I was like kind of in high school. So yeah, that was my journey. That was my time.
So what were some of your favorites from that era?
Oh, I love this question. Okay. Huge urban legend fan.
Okay.
Number 2, maybe even better than number 1. Is it controversial? I don't know. Urban Legend's Final Cut. How dare you? Speaking about film school.
Funny story. I saw that in college, and it is what made me want to write a screenplay, because I knew I could do better than that horrible piece of crap movie. I couldn't.
And you did,
no,
I'm sure.
I couldn't.
Oh, you
no,
couldn't?
I mean,
you didn't try.
Well, I mean, see, it's your favorite movie. You love it, and yet here you go.
I love it. I do.
Just
I
tearing
love
it apart. It is terrible. I'm sorry.
I love it. It's not I would not call that the golden age of horror, but it's certainly my favorite.
Okay.
I Know What You Did Last Summer is so good.
Iconic.
And the second one with Jack Black.
Okay.
Also good.
Jack Black's in the second one?
Yes, Treads.
Yes, but I think Alan Smithy did. I don't know if his name is in the credits anymore, which I think is a good idea.
Can we just cut him out of the movie? No offense to Jack Black, who I love.
I love him too. Yeah, just CGI out the dreadlocks, I think.
God, I want to see that cut. I want to see that cut.
De-aging, but have you heard of de-dreading?
I think it's time.
The technology exists. Why wouldn't we do it?
What, we need to use technology to make the world a better place.
So, aside from the movie that we're talking about today and an episode of Buffy, were there any other movies that really scared you as a kid?
Yes. So Candyman was a huge one. I obviously couldn't bring that in because it's just too relevant. And I'm white and I didn't want to do that. But yeah, there's a scene in Candyman. Specifically, it's the flashback of a little boy using the public bathroom and then getting his junk, I guess, hooked off by Candyman. I never really figured that one out. That really did it. I think when I was a kid, when kids got it in movies, that really like disrupted my whole worldview. I was like, what do you mean kids can die? I'm a kid. Can I die? Holy shit, I can. And so that really resonated with me. And you know what? I'm still scared of dying today.
Oh, I thought you were going to say of kids dying today. And I'm like, no.
No, that's fine. No, I'm fine with that. Yeah, and the episode of Buffy that really messed me up was about kids dying.
Okay.
There was an episode where she goes to a hospital because of a fever, and then all these kids keep getting murdered. And it turns out there's a monster that only kills kids. So there's like my mini scarred for life for that Buffy episode. People wouldn't let me talk about.
I've only seen one episode of Buffy.
Yeah, the energy here is very anti-Buffy. It is. And I think everyone at home should know that, because it's not a safe Buffy space.
It's not a safe Buffy space. And, you know, I want to correct that, but here we are.
I'm disappointed in you, Terry. I don't know you at all, but I felt like maybe I would have had a Buffy supporter in you.
You know, I
don't.
It was the time. It was such a time when I was not into camp. I was not embracing any of that kind of stuff. And so the first few episodes I watched, I was like, this thing is shit. And I stopped watching.
Well, yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Wow, so we have two. I feel like Mary Beth's kind of like that too, where she didn't find camp until later.
I did not find camp until later in my horror career. You are correct. Did not get an appreciation for it for a while, and now I do. But like you said, it's happened. It's just it's newer than my childhood. So what draws you to horror now as an adult?
Well, I think so my impulse for that is I am a very anxious man. I've got an anxiety disorder that I celebrate because I think it fuels my creativity, but I also think it's part of why I'm so drawn to horror. I remember being a kid, and the thought came to me of, you know, if you are the scary thing, then you're safe. And I think something about that kind of always stayed with me. So I think if I'm like in the book, like in the good books of the scary stuff, like horror movies, then maybe I'm safer ultimately. I don't know if that makes sense, but it is my truth.
No, that makes sense. It does make sense. So, do you ever get that? Do you still get scared when you watch horror movies? I mean, I know that Terry and I struggle with that, but do you ever get scared still?
I am always scared. Yeah. I'm always absolutely petrified. I'm a huge baby watching horror movies. My go-to is to plug my ears before I close my eyes. The sounds get me good for some reason. Yeah. Especially like jump scares. Jump scares are okay, but the sound effects are not okay. So if you ever watched a horror movie with me, I'm always just like fingers in my ears and like rocking back and forth. I look like I am suffering. And the movie I rewatched for today, it still scared me. Why? It's not scary at all. We'll get to it. But yes, the same reaction did occur.
So what are some of the last movies that truly scared you?
Oh my God. I smoked so much pot, so I don't remember 3 minutes ago. What are the last movies that scared? Oh, okay. The last episode of on my podcast, we did something The Conjuring adjacent. And so we rewatched The Conjuring 2, not my genre, not my franchise, but there were some scares in that like, I'm sorry to say, it got me, okay?
It's good. He's really good.
So the James Wan movies,
he's really good at them.
He's very good at staging a scare.
Really good at staging a scare.
Yes. I am very anti-religious horror.
Same.
It's part of my brain. Oh, thank you. I'm guessing you didn't grow up religious.
Nope.
This is my guess.
We've talked about this many times where it's like Exorcist, I don't think is a good movie. And people and I know people love it. Possession films. I love supernatural films, but like religious horror, not my bag. So I'm there.
Are you an Insidious queen?
Oh God, yes. Insidious and
yeah.
Insidious 2 are so fabulous.
Okay, first of all, how dare you with the Insidious 3 erasure, because I love it so much. I know it's not good, but it's kind of like I imprinted on that one. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Aw, like your mother.
I need to
revisit. She's
revisit.
auditioning for. I went to theater school in high school and university, and there's a theater school audition scene in that is truly terrifying to me. Do you remember it? She's like waving at her dead mom, but it's not her dead mom. It's something else.
Is that the one where she's like in a wheelchair? Is that that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I barely remember it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. Rewatch it. I'm an asthma queen myself, and the main monster.
I have asthma as well.
So you get it.
I do get it.
First of all, as scary as it is,
it's terrifying.
Breathing is important. Yes,
overrated.
But the big bad in that movie is like a big part of his trait is like he like can't breathe, and he has like an oxygen mask on all the time. Very triggering for me.
I remember I showed my roommate that movie, and she never watched horror movies, and she couldn't finish it.
Are you talking about number 3? Oh my God. Okay, well, her and horror is not meant to be clearly.
I was like, Glenna, this is Insidious 3. Like, this is not even like the scary one.
It's scary.
But Oh, she's just a baby, which is fine.
Listen, I'm a baby that is also a horror fan. So I kind of see both sides of this.
I also made that roommate watch We Are What We Are and didn't tell her it was a cannibal movie. So,
oh, Mary Beth,
is this the same girl?
Are you still friends?
Yes, we are.
Okay?
She wasn't the friend I lost living with, surprisingly enough.
Oh my god! See, horror keeps people together.
She was like, always she's like, Mary Beth made me watch a movie about cannibals and didn't tell me, and I was like,
was it the original or the remake?
The remake, the American one.
I haven't seen either, but our coworker and my longtime companion Emily Gagne, that's one of her favorite movies. The remake.
It's a really good movie.
I've never seen either.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm with you on that one. I don't know. Cannibals are not my gig. I'm not. I support them in real life and in the movies, but it's just not necessarily my go-to.
Okay.
Cannibal supporter, Josh Korngut.
Yes.
So what are some of your favorite horror movies now as an adult?
Jesus Christ. I turn off my phone because I'm like, I don't want it to be buzzing. What are my favorite, like, recent horror movies? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Jeez, Louise. I don't know. I'm more of a campy kind of 90s, 80s horror aficionado myself. The new stuff I like, James Wan, I'm always here for. I haven't seen Malignant. Stop spoiling it constantly.
The part where Superman comes in?
It's that third act everyone's talking about.
Just wild. You never see it coming.
Superman coming for everybody. Yeah, I feel like I'm one of the few people that kind of liked the new Candyman.
I did.
Yeah.
Had some issues.
I mean, listen, is the end terrible? Absolutely. That's all. That's the end of that feedback. Yeah, so I don't really know. I'm gonna give it to James Wan. James Wan, for some reason, is always able to give me that ooh ah ah sensation.
Love that ooh
I like
ah
that
sensation.
description. Put that on the poster of his next movie. He gives me that ooh ooh ah ah sensation.
I should say that I did steal that from a very famous drag queen. And so just in case anyone was gonna come for me in the comments.
Which one?
Monique Hart. And who's to say where she got it from? You know, that's drag colloquialisms. I feel like at least 30% of my vocabulary is now drag quoke.
Quoke?
Yes.
I like
colloquialism was so hard to say the first time.
So okay, so you made a movie.
Yes.
Called Best Friends Forever.
Yes,
Can you
I did.
tell us and the listeners a little bit about it?
So I am a filmmaker in my heart. That's what I want to be doing. Everything else that I'm doing is sort of just a long con to get to that place. Best Friends Forever, I would say, was the first, I should find a better word than real, but real short film that I was, that I've ever created. We actually got funding. We did it legit through and through. And it was, kind of a big deal for me and my co-creator, Emily. It opened a bunch of doors. We got to travel to all these really cool film festivals. And I think we really got to make a horror movie that we really wanted to make, which was very 90s inspired, very urban legend inspired. I would say my favorite subgenre in horror is urban legend horror. And so we made a very girl-focused 90s urban legend moment that I can still stand by. And currently we are in process of trying to turn it into a feature. There have been ups and downs on that journey, but we're still on that path.
Is your short film available for people to watch?
It is not yet. We're holding out hope that, something good is going to happen in our lives. But if it doesn't, because it never does, we'll end up getting that online somehow.
So what was it like to make your first short movie? Like, what was that process like? Was it exhausting and like giving birth?
Yeah, it truly was. Well, film production, just don't do it. It's horrible. It's really grueling no matter what position you have. The only time that I think it's like worth the blood, sweat, and tears is if it's your film, as if, it's your baby. And this was ours, thank goodness. So all the blood, sweat, and tears were worth it. We filmed it in April, so you'd think weather would be on our side, but we had truly, historically, the world's or Canada's worst ice storm that entire weekend that we were shooting. And we almost lost power about 30 kabillion times. We had to scrap all outdoor shooting and sort of rewrite the ending for inside, but it kind of worked. But it was very traumatic. And 12-hour days, or even 15-hour days, they're both so inhumane. We need to stop it immediately. 8-hour days for film. This is my new campaign.
Did any movie ever have a smooth shooting schedule?
Never.
Like, I swear, like, every time we talk to someone and they're like, we're the one weekend we filmed, there's like a cataclysmic event. I'm like, it's like God's, whatever the hell, hates film production. So
God
they
hates
choose...
film. God hates film. You heard it here. Yeah, no, God does hate film. He's like, actually do something productive with your life. Like, your grandpa was right. This is for after 5 p.m.
It's amazing that any film gets made, really.
I agree.
I don't understand it.
I think, some of them have money, though. Imagine money.
That's true. Imagine money.
Imagine the money.
Imagine, just picture yourself as James Wan. You're going to make some really good stuff, and then you'll eventually be handed a daddy's black Amex to make the craziest shit you've ever made in your life.
I know. Am I going to have to go to director jail for a few years, just like he did? It might have been more than a few years, actually, between the... he went to director jail after Dead Silence, and then he didn't...
It was Dead Silence and that...
And then the Death Sentence?
Dead Sentence, yeah. That was it, wasn't it? That was like the...
Those were like, no. And it was the same year, too. And Hollywood was like, girl, no. And then, but then we got him back. But I think that's rare. I feel like people don't usually get out of director jail.
Well...
It's probably true.
Who's
so
to say?
I hope
Just don't go to director jail. I think that's probably the workaround.
Yes, I think if you're a dude, you
avoid
do get a
jail in
chance.
period.
Oh yeah, I don't think I do so good in jail. Although I do have a plan in place if it does ever occur. I won't necessarily share it here, but I want everyone to know that it's been thought out.
You're prepared.
You're good. You're prepared for all situations.
I am prepared. I have a simple 3-step plan.
I have one more question for you about your creative endeavors before we go. But, like, what is, like, your dream project? Not the whole... I don't want you to give away the whole thing, but, like, what's, like, the dream thing you'd love to make?
I love this question. So I mentioned earlier I'm a huge fan of urban legend horror. Mm-hmm. So I'd either like to make my own sort of big urban legend moment movie, or I would love to get the keys to the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. I know there's a series coming out that's going to retcon everything. It's very unfortunate. But I have a pitch for a never-made 4th film where I'm going to bring back Anne Hesh, okay? That's the only person I'm going to bring back. And it's going to be called Forever Summer, but I'm going to spell it F-O-U-R, because there is a 3rd movie, in case you're not aware.
There is, but I have never seen it.
You've never seen I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer? We need to stop filming that we're recording and go watch and then come back. I should have picked that.
I'm so thankful you did.
There's a supernatural element in it, which is wild. It's like it's the myth of the Hookman is coming to get shot.
The myth of the Hookman.
The Hookman myth of the Hookman. Is that a good answer, or was that a bad answer?
It's an incredible answer.
Oh,
it's an incredible
There's no right or wrong answer. I love it.
Okay.
I want another urban legend movie. I love urban legend movies.
Urban legends are the best.
So good. And I feel like they're often not executed great, like, Bye Bye Man, Empty Man territory. So I feel like they don't have...
Oh, excuse me.
Empty Man is good? Is that where we're getting at?
There will not be any Empty Man slander on this podcast.
Why I did that. I have not actually seen it.
It's because Ted Henschke from Dread XP speaks mad shit about the Empty Man, and I blame him for putting that slander into your brain.
So we both have homework. I will go watch the 3rd I Know What You Did Last Summer, and you will go watch the 2-hour and
so long
million-minute.
I watched 10 minutes of it, and then I was like, this is in the Himalayan mountains. Okay, bye. I turned it off. I will try it again. I did write an article for Dread Central about, like, trans identity in The Empty Man, but it wasn't my concept. I was promoting someone else's article. It seemed legit, though. Would you say there was, like, trans allegory in The Empty Man?
I could potentially see it, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would have to think about it, because I was just in awe the first time I watched this, so I wasn't really thinking creative or, like, critically about it.
Sweet. I mean...
I was just trying to make sure I knew what the fuck was going on.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Before I shit on it anymore.
Yes, please. That's right. Fantastic. But okay, before we do move on, though, can you tell our listeners what your podcast is about?
Oh, yeah, that.
Thank you. Yes, so I host Development Hell on the Dread Podcast Network. Every episode I unearth, I would call them like a classic horror movie that never got made. So these are horror movies that got stuck in development hell and never really found their way out. So some good examples would be Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, Neil Blomkamp's Alien 5. We just did an episode on the Crooked Man spinoff that never got made. So those kinds of things. Because, I don't know, I'm obsessed with horror movies that never got made. And I find it's an easy conversation starter for her, usually with horror fans.
I've been on it. Terry might be on it in the future. Who knows? But
yeah, please, Terry. Terry, if gun to your head right now. I'm sorry, gun violence is not to be joked about. Is there a movie that you were excited for that didn't come out ever in your life?
I mean, I think you covered the one
those
for
are
me
the,
would been the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, because, I mean, I was a Fredhead. I am still a Fredhead. Same. Freddy's the best.
Freddy is the best.
Hell yeah. That's such a... And there's so many Freddy movies that never got made, too.
Yeah. I'll have to think about it.
I love it. Yeah, and then bring it to me, and then hopefully I can coerce you to come on my podcast.
There's no coercion needed.
Good. See? We don't need Mary Beth anymore. We have each other. I'm so sorry.
Bye.
She literally just
flew out
into the ceiling. So sorry. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, Josh, what movie did you bring in with you today to talk about? I don't know either.
I brought in the Buffy episode Killed by Death. No, I didn't. I brought in The Faculty, Kevin Williamson original moment, I believe 1997, 1998. I forget. 98. God damn.
I was a junior.
Such a good year for everything. I would say all of my favorite music came out in 1998, and I'm not going to tell you what they are. The Faculty.
Let me read a quick synopsis to catch everybody up. The synopsis of this one is hysterical that we got from IMDb. When Casey Connor, Harrington High School's newspaper photographer, witnesses the murder of a nurse and sees her alive again, he decides to investigate the bizarre happenings. That's not
the movie.
That's not the movie.
And is Casey
I'll be honest.
lead? Sorry.
No, it's an did you put that as a joke? Because it's actually quite incredible.
No, I literally just copied it off of IMDb without even reading it. I was just like, I got to get this document done, copy paste. So you reading this right now? I was like,
nurse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all.
Selma,
all of that
Selma
is in it. Oh yeah, Selma Hayek.
Selma Hayek's the nurse.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, but who is not in this movie? Like, I feel like Melania Trump was in this movie. Everybody's in this movie.
Melania Trump with the
cast is fucking stacked.
Casey's mom.
yeah. The cast is stacked.
I mean, we have Clea Duvall, Famke Janssen, Salma Hayek, the thing living on Josh Hartnett's head. Like, there's so many.
Oh, that was funny. It was so distracting. For someone that's so hot, the hair is so bad.
It's really bad. It's embarrassing.
Who allowed that?
But, like, how did he do that, too? You know what I mean?
He refused to not have it. I don't know, not this movie specifically. I think it was Halloween H2O or something. I've heard that he, like, would not allow his hair not to look like that.
Which was another choice.
If you're that hot, I feel like you have to do something to sort of dumb it down. Otherwise, how do you even look at it?
Too much.
Was his hair that bad in the Virgin Suicides?
No, it was long.
I don't remember it being.
It was like
that bad.
Like longer,
Cute.
like 70s.
Does he have an obsession with bad hairstyles?
He's always had bad hair.
That has to be
he's just he's so hot, but his hair is so bad.
It's a living thing. That's why.
It is a living thing. It is the Faculty. His hair is actually the titular Faculty. God. But Josh, okay, can you tell us why you picked this movie, your horror story with the Faculty?
So I feel like many people have that one type of gore or violence that they cannot handle. Like, I find a lot of people, it's eyeball stuff or stuff along those lines. For me, and okay, this is going to be gross even just to say out loud. I don't know if it's going to be bad for you. It's always skull stuff or like scalp stuff that like sends me into a tizzy. And there's a scene in this movie where the football player's in the shower and then some old lady emerges in the steam and she's like, help me, I'm melting. And then her like and then something happens in along the lines of that, and it was so horrifying to me as a child, and I could not watch it this time around. I actually did not watch that part or listen to it.
It's kind of goopy.
It's fucking horrifying. It's like he literally like grabs the hair.
Oh my god.
But also like the horror of your old teacher like almost naked busting in on you in the shower.
Naked. Like she's taking off her clothes as she's walking in there.
And he's like,
she was overheated. Oh, poor lady.
Poor lady.
Yeah. How traumatizing for a high school senior to be like in his shower.
Was he the protagonist?
With a soap on a rope.
No.
Elijah
I don't think
Wood?
any of them are protagonists.
No. It's the football player Stan.
It's a football player.
It's Stan.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood finds him.
Yeah. But is Stan the protagonist in the movie?
No, Stan gets got like.
Oh yeah, Stan does get got. So who is?
I mean, Casey is the final boy.
Truly, those eyes, those piercing husky eyes.
Elijah
Wood, baby. He's such a young baby in this movie.
He's one of my Hollywood crushes. All of my other crushes look exactly the same. So it's him, Tobey Maguire from like 2001, Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay, so you're like a good like kind of like 5'7" kind of guy who looks British.
That's literally my height. So
perfect.
Fired. Yeah, it's someone that looks tired, someone that looks sick. That really...
So you would absolutely love Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh my god. I had tickets to see that and I didn't go. And I'm really glad
I went to go see it last night and holy shit.
Where are you based, Terry?
I'm in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, was there a festival there?
No, there was, they were doing like an advanced screening of it.
Okay. Wait, so did you see it? Is that what you just said?
Oh, I saw it.
Tell me, let's just hear a little bit. I want to hear, I haven't heard it in real life yet. What people
He looks fucking ghoulish. He looks ghoulish.
Yeah, he does.
And the way that they shoot it with the lights, it gives him like hollowed out eyes. And there's one scene where he is singing to his girl crush, and he looks like Nosferatu, and he does this like move on her, and I'm like,
maybe I will
girl,
find
get
that
away,
hot.
get your steaks, get your holy water, get the fuck away.
Garlic.
Why did you let him in your house?
That does kind of sound hot, actually.
Why did you give him permission to come in your home?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Are you going to rewatch it once it's de-aged? Because that's going to make it so much scarier. Yeah, they're doing a de-aged version for streaming.
I saw that. Why would you do that? That's a nightmare.
I like The Politician. Is that okay to say? Is that a safe thing to say?
I didn't mind it.
Thank you.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Because you're not a gay man.
Netflix series.
It's true. It is true. That's correct. I am not a gay man. But Josh, I'm pivoting back to the faculty here, just real quick.
Right.
Just getting back onto
I'm so sorry.
the movie. It's okay. How did you what was like the situation surrounding you seeing the faculty for the first time? Like, why were you watching it?
Okay, so my relationship with my father to this day, 99% consists of horror movies, and I actually don't think that's sad. I think that's something to celebrate.
I love that.
Thank you.
I do love that.
And so it must have been on, because it was like Weekend with Dad, every other week was kind of the deal, because product of divorce, clearly, look at me. And so yeah, it was like some Sunday afternoon, like 1 p.m., like a bright, sunny Toronto apartment. I watched this movie and it somehow terrified me so much. Yeah.
Was it just that scene, or was it?
It was, okay, when I picked it, that was the only scene that came to mind. But as I was rewatching it, there were so many that triggered, like, oh, this fucked me up as a kid. Including in the very opening, someone gets stabbed in the hand with a pencil. Too much for me. Can't accept that.
Oh, a lot of pencil horror in this. Yes. Pen and pencils.
And I just watched Titan. I never will say that right. And there's a lot of, like,
I still need to see it.
Pencil-like objects getting shoved into people's ears and that. So I didn't like that. But
that's my worst nightmares. Pencils are my worst nightmare, because I knew someone who had the leads that got stuck in their hand when someone else stabbed them, and like that just paranoid me forever. And I was always scared that I was going to get lead stuck in my hand.
It's never too late.
I knew that, like, it was never too late, but I was
too late for now.
Terrified. It's like so much something about it.
Obviously, you're scared of the stabbing and not the poisoning of the lead, right? Just to be clear.
Oh no, it's both.
It's both.
It's a 1-2 punch. I'm scared to have the lead under my hand because I'll get lead poisoning and my hand will fall off.
Yeah, is that what will happen?
I actually had.
I don't actually know if that's
in
true.
my hand.
No.
Yeah.
Do you still have your hand?
Are you okay?
No. Surprise.
Oh my God. It's a
No.
podcast. Oh no.
Just
2 years doing a podcast and I just found out. Wait, so you had lead stuck in your hand?
yeah, I got a pencil stabbed into it somehow. I don't remember exactly why. And it lasted. It was there for a while, and then it just went away.
Did someone do this to you?
Yes.
Who was it? I have to find them.
Name and shame.
I don't
Name
know.
and shame.
I don't remember who they were. It was
for you.
really young. I was like, I don't know. It was maybe like 8 or 9. I barely remember it. I just remember like there being like this gray dot on my hand, and me thinking, "Oh God, I'm going to lose my hand." As Mary Beth so rightly said.
Then you wouldn't have to do
yes, that
homework.
is.
Ugh. Yeah.
I hate that shit.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like pencils getting stabbed into people. I don't like. I feel like in my mind I can see another famous horror movie scene where someone gets a pencil stabbed into their ankle. Does that sound at all familiar?
Oh, Evil Dead.
Oh,
Yes.
Of course. That was gross. I like that.
The Evil Dead. Sorry.
Yeah, because there is both.
There is. I know. Get it right.
And yeah, and then in that opening scene where sexy Janine Garofalo gets murdered. That's what I called her the whole time. The principal. Yeah.
She's in. Oh my God.
Like, who are you talking about?
She.
It's like, wait.
Okay, but she's in so much shit. She was in
Janine Garofalo? Yeah.
not Janine Garofalo.
Sexy
no,
Janine
sexy
Garofalo.
Janine Garofalo. She was in.
Excuse me. Janine Garofalo is sexy.
Maybe this one
She
is
was,
sexier. Sorry.
She was in
Sexier
How to Lose
Janine
a Guy in 9 Days. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. She was the
This
editor in
woman?
chief of that of
She
the
has
magazine.
an editor-in-chief energy, doesn't she?
Right.
I loved her. There were so many hot, like, mature, I guess not, like, just adult women in this. Mostly her and the one that I can't say the name of because I don't know how to say it.
Famke Jensen is how I say it. But what I didn't realize the first time I watched this, it wasn't that long ago. I really loved it, but I wasn't like, I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. I think I was like, oh, it's going to be like a 90s, 90s teen movie. But the setup is really fascinating because it's called The Faculty, and like with the focus on the teachers at the beginning, you're like, oh, this is going to be a movie about the teachers and like them fighting back. It's not bait and switch.
No.
That's how I like. It was interesting watching it this time and seeing how much like they focus on like the plight of the teacher and like budget stuff. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a bigger deal in the movie, and then it kind of isn't. They just
I know.
like all get.
How much do you feel for that drama teacher that she can't get her musical?
Oh, and the English, is it the history or the English teacher who is just like wants to go on a field trip to New York, and they're like,
trip to New York.
No, you're going to like Ohio. No, that's where it took place. I think he has passed away. IRL. Do you guys know who that is? That teacher? Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. But yeah, the setup, I was like, I did not think about how they really focus on the teachers and Robert Patrick as the coach of the football team.
What do I know him from? Like what is his?
He's in Terminator
X-Files?
2.
Terminator 2.
None of this is.
What Josiah saw, he was.
That's it. That's it. Oh,
wait, what did
The
you
movie
say?
that literally no one will see. That's the one that you know. What
please
Josiah
explain it.
saw, the Fantasia movie that Joe hated.
Who hated it? Oh, Joe.
Joe hated what Josiah
I
saw
hated
from
it.
Fantasia, Terry.
We all hated it.
Oh, okay.
There's just. Can I explain one scene in it that also scarred me for life? No, because I'm going to give too much away.
No,
Anyway,
don't.
fine.
It's also really gross. It's
Don't watch what
Nasty.
Josiah saw. Don't
No.
do it. But yeah, he's Josiah.
yes, he is in fact the titular Josiah.
Yeah, he's scary for sure. He was scary fun in this, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid football culture.
Right? So I saw this movie when I was a junior. So it came out actually Christmas Day, which is weird.
Oh,
It's so weird.
What a... sometimes they do that sort of like against type programming. But yeah, I don't remember exactly how I saw it, because I don't think I saw it Christmas Day, but I do remember seeing it probably over Christmas break, and I absolutely loved it. I was a huge fan of that sort of like the slasher boom of the 90s, which I definitely, as you mentioned earlier, Josh, I do include this one in that because it definitely has the slasher tropes. The cold open, I thought, was a really nice reversal of the typical cold open we typically see in slasher films from that time, as you kind of were talking about with it being the adults as opposed to a massacre of kids, teenagers. But yeah, I remember really digging this one, and then I was surprised that, like, I don't know, I guess they called it they didn't think it was very successful. Although looking back on it now, it made $63 million. That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
I was going to say, I saw that on the IMDb, on the
Did it say
Wikipedia
how much
page.
they made it for?
15?
Oh, today that would have had like 5 sequels.
Yeah.
But I
That
guess
is-
like
that
stacked up
isn't
against
bad.
Scream that probably made like 500 million. They were like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, 98, you are coming off of, like, The Scream, which, like, was making...
yeah.
This
Buco
is
bucks,
the
but,
most
like-
post-Scream movie that I think I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that. Dig into that.
Well, I forgot it was written by Kevin Williamson, which is a true sham because I feel like I talked about it with someone 5 minutes ago. But all of the horror references, it wasn't really horror references. I guess this is like the sci-fi version of Scream, where everything is kind of like sci-fi referential in it. And you have and Elijah Wood, what a good little actor. Because he is nailing some of the most ridiculous dialogue that I think has ever been written in history. And he was talking about how, like, it's the fiction and the science fiction, and it's the fiction that's gonna get you. And it's like, what? But he's committing.
Okay. But I liked that, though, because, there's that comment about, like, this would be, those books are in the fiction category. And he's like, yeah, so is Schindler's List. And so the idea that, like, truth can come from fiction, I think is an interesting ideology to explore. And the idea that maybe, like, I got a little far, but I did love that he's like, Steven Spielberg could be an alien. They could be, like, lulling us into, like, some false sense of security. I love that idea that we're just becoming, like, brain numb to aliens so that when an alien invasion actually does happen, we don't notice it.
I just love the idea of aliens fucking with us in such a long con and just, like, trolling us for so long, just, like, because why not?
But that happened in 30 Days of Night, because they say in the movie that they spent centuries trying to pretend that they weren't real and become a fairy tale so that they could decimate people without it being considered a real thing. So
they could eventually take over an Alaskan town.
No, just Alaskan.
A lot of commitment for about, 30 days? Is she okay?
I thought about it while I was watching the movie, and I was like, hey, there's like a cool little weird
God, Josh
parallel
Hartnett.
here. Josh Hartnett is in a pair.
That's like cold Josh Hartnett. This was like...
Did he have bad hair, though?
It's under a hat most of the time.
I was
but
just
when it
going to say
wasn't,
it's always under a hat.
it was like kind of long and shaggy. It was kind of hot, though. It wasn't that bad in that movie. But it
I
was
remember
mostly
being
under
really
a
attracted
hat.
to him in that movie.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, no, this isn't bad hair.
He's a pretty man.
Yo, he's such a
very
pretty
attractive.
man.
He is a beautiful man.
Yes, that kind of like almost androgynous supermodel energy.
Okay, speaking of supermodel energy, though, this was basically a Calvin Klein ad.
Yes.
Do you remember hearing that? Like, and all that stuff? Like, they talked about this in the Faculty of Horror when they talked about the faculty, I think, about how, like, there was some weird ad with them. Like, or was some deal with Calvin Klein or something.
It looks like a Calvin Klein ad. That's absolutely correct.
Most of the actors in, like, the teen slashers, it felt like they were walking off the set of some Calvin Klein, Abercrombie and Fitch. Like,
Totally.
That's
incredible.
where they're coming from.
It's incredible.
Okay, so the kind of, I like what you're talking about, Josh, about this sort of like Scream aspect where it's like here it's a lot of sci-fi horror type inspirations, because I mean some of them are pretty obvious. Like the test is obviously the thing where instead of blood it's like snorting drugs, where it's like that is, and I'm only thinking about this because we just recently watched The Thing recently. That's great.
I bought it.
Or the idea that like the parasitic kind of like creatures is definitely like it's pulling from the Puppet Masters, which was the Robert Heinlein book that gets brought up a lot in this.
It gets name dropped.
Which is a good book, by the way.
You know, me and science fiction have like a weird relationship where like I always think it's not for me, but every time I dive into it, it is. So I should give it a better shake.
I mean, I haven't read it since I was like probably in high school. I probably read it after I saw this movie.
I haven't read a book since I was in high school. Okay, it's fine.
But okay, I do want to talk about another inspiration that this thing pulls from, though, because in hindsight, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So it's pulling from The Breakfast Club. Like these characters are obvious, you know, stand-ins for the characters from The Breakfast Club. You have the criminal, here it's Zeke, the princess Delilah, the athlete Stan, the brain Casey, the basket case / they call her the ugly duckling, which I don't think you can ever call Clea Duvall ugly, but Stokely, right? And then you have this new girl, Mary Beth, coming in, which put a point in that for a moment because I have a question. But okay, so you have the 5 Breakfast Club members and then this new person coming in. Should have known immediately she was the alien queen.
Hell yes.
Should have known.
I feel like I knew because obviously I've seen it before, but I feel like I wouldn't have guessed it.
I didn't guess it.
I did not guess it when I first saw it a couple years ago. I was like, no way.
I should have.
I know. I should have too. But
because it's pulling from the Breakfast Club and there's one person extra. It's obviously that person does not belong. They are the outsider. They are the alien.
Who's the extra in the Breakfast Club? Okay, spoilers. I've never seen it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, there is no extra.
There is
it's a group of 5, so they have these 5 people, and then you have this extra person coming in. So obviously they're the outsider, aka the alien that's coming in to assimilate.
So she like literally is the alien, and because they're clearly pulling all those archetypes. Cool.
Because everyone else is an archetype of a character from that movie.
I liked how a lot of the horror actually took place within the high school. I always love that in movies, and I feel like often it doesn't. Nothing actually goes down in the school. Like I love the pool moment and the gymnasium moment. It's just like
yes,
it really pulls off like teen horror really well. But
I love a good
that shot. Oh,
I was saying I love a good gymnasium like horror moment.
Me too.
Me too. And the moment where she is swimming in the pool as the big monster, and then that turns into the shadow, and then turns into her, is such a well composited effect shot. Like it looks so good.
Yes, and it holds up. It weirdly holds up. I mean, there's a lot of CGI, and of course, sometimes it's a little cringe, but generally speaking, it is very effective. And the part where she's walking through the change rooms, and you just see the shadow of her tentacles to give the sense of what she is, which was really beautiful. And they're in the gymnasium at one point, and the streamers are hanging from the ceiling, and it kind of gives the tentacle effect. It's a very well-made movie.
Mary Beth, do you have something you need to tell us, though? Are you an alien?
Yes. Duh.
This is not a spoiler, guys.
We're a spoiler podcast.
Yeah, we've seen this coming.
Oh, there is never a character named Mary Beth, and I was so excited. And Josh Hartnett thought she was hot, and that's all I want is for Josh Hartnett to think I'm hot. So.
You made out with him.
I did.
You guys kind of fall in love.
Yeah. So this is my movie. This is my time to shine. Like
and
I was just say when they have like the names pop up, like so like opening of like a 90s sitcom. I want to frame that. I want to take that font and put it on my face. Just like
you should make that your timeline image. Good font.
Unfortunately, it's one word instead of 2.
I know. I'm so mad. It's 2 words and it's not her middle name.
Because she's from Atlanta.
Yeah. So it's one name minus
she's
2,
a Southern gal.
and minus the combination of my first and middle name.
Is it generally a goody two-shoe name? Because the movie said that. Kind of, and that was news to me. Is that something you've dealt with?
Mm-mm. Just Mary and Beth, they're like super generic names.
But together, they can do anything
special. It's not it's not as creepily Catholic as it sounds separate.
I don't know. I think when they're together, like as one word, I do think that it kind of gives that quaint sort of Southern belle like feel to it.
People did used to say that I reminded them of a cupcake.
You yourself? I don't feel that. I don't get that at all.
A cupcake?
Yeah, they were like, you're just so innocent.
What? You remind me of like a hot queer bartender. That's not the innocent type.
Was actually that at one point.
Yeah. I know. It's really the sleeve, the tattoo sleeve. If you have a tattoo sleeve, you're just a hot queer bartender that's just like, it's just official. It happens.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very valid. But
what's hotter, a sleeve on a guy or a girl?
A girl.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a girl too.
I quickly knew the answer.
I want my man to be buried with me in a Jewish cemetery. So no tattoos. I'm just kidding. We're not going to get buried together.
On top of you. Buried on top of you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, continuing with Mary Beth, though, the alien.
Which one?
In the movie, not the alien in real life.
That's why I'm so scared of aliens, because I am an alien.
I do have a question about her backstory. I'm wondering, is she a human that was infected? And did she actually come from Atlanta, where she actually infected a town in Atlanta and now they're spreading to Ohio? Or what is about? Because I don't think they really ever really explain her past. And so I'm curious.
Well, yeah, because she needs a host, right? Like they had to so they didn't make it sound like she could make a body like out of nothing. Like she needed something to inhabit.
Although she is the queen.
That's true.
Spoiler alert. I think the movie did not think that through. That's my opinion.
I just am wondering if there's a town in Atlanta that is infected, that is like overtaken, and now it's like spreading.
What's the town in the main town in Atlanta?
Can you please think about the question that you just asked?
Me?
Yeah. Is Atlanta a town?
The main town. Atlanta's a city.
I just said, I literally said the main town in Atlanta. I was thinking Georgia.
And he did it to me.
I did it too.
And I knew before he did it. And then I went ahead and I yes-anded him because we're allies to one another. I have no idea. I don't care, and I don't want to care about American geography, and that I think is something that is my.
Oh, that's right. You're in Canada. That's right.
Yeah, we only had to memorize. I think 10 provinces. Oh God, I don't know. I hope that's right. You know what? No one listening to this is Canadian. 10 provinces.
Actually, we have a big audience in Canada
and 2 territories.
So everyone's going to hear it.
Oh no!
But yeah, I guess because Atlanta, Ohio, that's like a big jump.
It is a big jump.
Yeah, how'd she get there?
I didn't even fucking think about that. I was just like, yeah, whatever. And she's a monster, so it's all bullshit anyway. But I didn't even think about that. I
just like the idea that either Atlanta's taken over or some small town in Georgia is taken over. That's what I'm happy
There's
about.
no actual happy ending. They're just like, in a month, it's just going to be bad.
This does not have a happy ending. I am firmly convinced about this. This is not a happy ending movie.
Is it because it's straight? Straight love at the end?
Okay. Yes, that is definitely part of it. But no, okay. So here's the thing. All right. So throughout the movie, we have Stokely talking about her reading, right? And so she's talking about Highline's Puppet Master, and she's talking about Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And the theme behind them is that we lose, they win. So then you have Mary Beth, who is talking about the idea of conformity and the idea of taking away conflict and creating this sort of like perfect race where there's like no fighting, no angst, no anger, no real emotions one way or the other thing. She tells Casey, I could give you a world without anger, without fear, without attitude. And then she says, I can make you a part of something so special, Casey. So by the end of the movie, what happens? Conformity happens. You have Zeke, the criminal, joining the football team. You have Stokely giving up her queer alt roots and making out with the football stud. You have Delilah, who spent the movie harassing Casey, is now smitten with him. And you have Casey, who is now what? He's popular. He is not the person getting rammed into the flagpole with his crotch. Regardless of whether they're infected by parasites, by the end, the aliens won, because Casey looks around, he's like, things sure have changed. And as he says that, the same assholes that grabbed him in the beginning of the movie are grabbing someone else and running off to the flagpole. So he is completely oblivious to the fact that things have not changed. He has changed. He has risen to a different social status. He has become conformity. It is a tragic ending.
That's so depressing. But you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's my one thing. Everyone talks about how out of touch the ending is with the rest of the movie. And when I saw it as a kid, I remember thinking, yeah, but no, this movie actually has a very subtle satire about the fact that because he is now with the in crowd, he doesn't see that the world hasn't changed. He has conformed. They all have. And that's tragedy.
Do you think that's what he wanted? Do you think like if he was given that option at the beginning of the movie, he would have taken it?
Probably. I mean, he's getting picked on.
He really
is. He's getting picked on. He's in love with Delilah. He's in love with Delilah, and she's like harassing him and
so
calling him names. She is horrible.
Why is she so horrible? Homophobic? Using terms I've never heard against lesbians.
The terms I was like, Jesus, we are in the 90s with what she is.
I don't remember any of them, but I remember them being egregious.
Yeah,
it was like Muff Diver kind of adjacent.
Yeah, like Muffin Muncher, like gross things like that, where you're just like, why is that what you decided to say?
Well, and she's asking like, Mary Beth, I hope you're not a violent lesbian.
I am.
Yeah, and that's such a strange lesbian, like I don't know what's the word, stereotype, I guess. Because, like, yeah, I guess I've heard it before, but, like, I've known so many lesbians and none of them have been violent. So where is that coming from?
Fear of women.
Yeah, it's true.
Fear of difference, 100%.
Which I will say, I think is a theme that this movie covers, the sort of idea of the monstrous femme. Cool. I will say that this movie probably digs into. I'm curious if you saw any of that, Mary Beth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because, like, Mary Beth starts out... this is so weird talking about the character Mary Beth when I'm talking to you. But she starts out this sort of, like, mousy, virginal girl, and then by the end of it, she is naked, strutting down the halls of the locker room, and she's turning into a monster. And then you have the same with Miss Burke, Famke Janssen, who starts out this, like, mousy librarian type who's, like, she gets upset when the kid, which rightly so, the kid talks about the condom, but then later on she's like, eat me, asshole. Like, she's like,
I'm
turning
gonna
into
shove
this...
my foot so far up your ass, you're gonna be sucking my toes until graduation.
That's great.
It's an incredible line.
Thank you, Kevin Williamson.
It is an incredible line.
Very beautiful.
No, but that's true, because I feel like there's a lot. I mean, not necessarily with Mary Beth's character, because she's not a person becoming a monster. Like, she is always the monster, but there is this kind of trend, because you see that with the older teacher as well, where, like, they're mouthy and kind of reserved, and this parasite gives them a confidence level, because, like, it's almost like it eats the self-confidence, like the id in their brain, and they become something... not eats the id, but like
not the men. It's just the ladies get blowouts. Really,
it's very interesting. Like, it's like the men don't really change like that much, but the women really change. And I think it's fascinating. Like, the men aren't as useful as the women who really undergo this like crucial transformation as like their attitudes. Like, the men become kind of just like shells. They're like, you look beautiful
the men
today.
They don't really even focus on... Okay, have we talked about Jon Stewart being in this movie yet? Has that come out?
No, we haven't. I saw him in this movie, I was like...
It's like, what the fuck? It's so strange when his, like, older career pops up. You're like, it seems wrong. It feels like, this should all be erased. But yeah, nothing happened to him, except he just got a little more murderous.
And in fact, the coach gets nicer.
Yeah, they say it. Like, he used to be such a hard ass. Now he's just murdering everyone.
Yeah, it's that. It's like, and I think it is interesting, because it is like she's the queen bee, but it's interesting how like the male characters don't change, but the female characters undergo, like, they find strength. Like, she's able to tell Zeke to go fuck himself, basically, and like, and kick his ass, and then. But then, like, Mary Beth is able to use that kind of the assumptions about the mousy young woman. Like, it's almost like not even almost like, she knows that people are going to think, oh, like, the skinny little blonde girl isn't going to know anything, have any confidence, so she'll be very unassuming. And so she plays to those expectations, particularly of Zeke and of everybody, and manipulates them the whole time, and she's with them the whole time, and she uses that kind of, oh, this meek young woman is totally, like, she's definitely allergic to scat, the drug. She's not actually an alien. Like, we're not going to make her sniff it.
And we believe it. Even the three of us kind of believed it. We, like, fell into that trap.
You gotta, if you're not shiny, if you're tiny and have like a higher pitched voice, you're like, oh, you could learn to fly.
You have that southern drawl.
The southern drawl, yes. I liked how she subverts our expectations and is a very surprising killer, ultimately.
But I love that, though. Like, that's my favorite shit, when, like, the kind of unassuming, like, woman becomes the bad bitch monstrous killer, like, that reveal. It's just my favorite thing, because, like, I know people say, like, oh, women as monsters. I want women to be monsters, like, all the time, especially in these roles where she, like, is naked and confident and just becomes a giant fucking monster. Like, I want to become a giant fucking monster. And so when I see these characters, it's just like, fuck yes. Like, shed this nasty ass coil where everyone projects their own nasty, like, insecurities onto you, and just shed that and just eat them.
Shed that and
Shed
just
your
eat
insecurities
them.
and eat them alive.
That's the future liberals want.
It is.
I like that. Kevin Williamson has an interesting history with writing women, in my opinion. He's a gay man, and he's very good at subverting the genre and sort of reversing expectations, all that. But I find that he doesn't necessarily write women with care or respect. I was reading one of his unmade scripts for Halloween H2O. And yeah, he like does what all the other like straight screenwriters do, which is like talk about women as boobs and hair. And I notice that a lot reading his scripts rather than seeing them on screen. So I don't know if I really think that he's doing women too many favors, but I like your take a lot.
It's mostly that I will take the scraps that I am given me.
Yeah, you have to, right? You have no choice.
Well, because like I mean, like a lot of these female characters are archetypes. Like while she is the monster, like Clea Duvall's character is reduced to black eyeliner and like being like faking being a lesbian, so she's left alone and liking the jock, and like what's her name? Delilah is like the hot girl. You know, like they are still archetypes. Like he's very much in archetypes. These aren't like necessarily deeper characters. But I
think
that
like he thinks they are, though. We were saying that it's like they're all pulls from the Breakfast Club, so they are these basic archetypes that are Kevin Williamsonified and kind of all are a little bit subverted. And I think it does work. I think that he does make these characters way more interesting than the average 90s slasher ever would have.
Like they've got some backstory. They have like some backstories, and like they're likable. I like them still. Even
Jordana Brewster, is that who that was?
Yes. I did like when all the slugs were underneath her face, though. That was pretty fucking creepy.
Cool. The whole time I was like, is she Olivia Rodrigo? The whole time I kind of recasted her as like, she'd be good in the remake, right? Yes.
Yeah.
You have to say yes.
Yes, absolutely. She just needs her driver's license.
Yeah, no.
Fuck off.
I liked it.
God damn it.
Okay, I know that the movie didn't come out for like a year after this, but as I was watching this movie, I kept thinking about She's All That. Mm-hmm. Because you have like Mrs. Olsen's makeover, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, and then you have Famke Janssen's makeover, and she's like, ooh, I'm sexy. All I had to do was take my hair out of its, thing and take off my glasses and
my favorite is when you get hot and you take off your glasses. Bitch, I wish that was true.
Me too. I would do it way more often. Then
you have Delilah, who goes the reverse route and goes back to the She's All That character before, where she gets all mousy and with her glasses on because she can't wear contacts. Why? Because she's an alien. She doesn't want to dehydrate herself because contacts will suck out the liquid out of you. Small little plot point. But the fact that she like de-makeovers and it becomes the starting point for She's All That. And I realized the movie hasn't even come out yet, but as I was watching this now, that's all I could think about.
And the hairspray thing too, because she says how she hasn't used hairspray in a million years, and I'm guessing that would probably also be kind of drying. Interesting.
Yeah.
He's smart. It's a smart script. I have to give it that for sure.
There is some really smart stuff in here.
Have you seen He's All That yet?
No.
Do you even know what I'm talking about?
No.
Yes, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh.
Starring I think a TikTok star. I don't know anymore.
R.I.P. to all of humanity.
I think it's Charlie D'Amelio. I don't know how to say it. But I have a funny story about her. Can I say it?
Sure. What is your funny story?
No, it's not a funny
Charlie?
story. I'm a big Charlie XCX fan because I'm gay. It's fine. And one day, Charlie XCX's like amazing trans producer passed away. And so the internet was like, we're here
Sophie?
for you, Charlie. Yeah, Sophie. Yes.
Yeah, Sophie.
And actually a big Sophie fan. So I
love
that you
Sophie.
knew. Oh, me too. I'm a big fan. So R.I.P. Sophie. Yeah, so all of Twitter was like, we're here for you, Charlie. We love you, Charlie. Everything's fine. And then Charlie D'Amelio went on Twitter and was like, it's so nice that you guys are thinking of me today. Yeah. No. Yes. And I actually had no idea who she was until that. But apparently she's the most famous person in the world and was definitely at the Met Gala.
Yeah, she's like big on. She like dances in her bathroom on TikTok and has like a special Dunkin' Donuts order.
That's enough.
Good for her.
You. Good for her. Yeah, I was on her Wikipedia because I had to find out who she was, and it said dancer, and I was like, okay.
Like she's just like a hot girl on the internet who dances in like short shorts.
I like that we've streamlined it though. We don't need the Disney system anymore to make these people uber famous. They can just do it on their own.
But you know what? I want a version of the Faculty with like TikTok, like what kids are now. You know what I mean? Like I'm so excited that teen slashers are coming back because like we have such a new kind of teen.
Yes.
And I'm very excited to see how they interpret that into movies like The Faculty and to Scream and like
they're doing a good job with Fear Street and everything so far. Mm-hmm.
But
we're in a renaissance.
But I want to see more. Because like
Me
Fear
too.
Street still had a little bit of a vintagey vibe to it. Like it was
Yes,
like
it
a little bit
did.
more. And I'm like,
I think
but
all
wanna
of them are
see-
going to, though. I think they're all kind of paying homage to the 90s. Have you seen the trailer for There's Someone Inside Your House yet?
I watched like 2 seconds of it and stopped because I didn't want to spoil anything.
Oh, okay. I'm really excited for it. Also, there's a Kim
I am
Petras
too.
song in the trailer, so I'm here for that.
But like, I get that wanting to have that homage, but at the same time, like, I do want to see what happens when like a TikToker
TikTokers.
gets fucking murdered on TikTok and it posts. Like, I want to make that fucking movie. Like,
Yes,
I am obsessed
I like
with.
that.
But I'm also obsessed with like horror on TikTok. But I think
Okay,
there's
so
like
Unfriended 3, we need to get you that contract.
Yeah, you do. I'd make a great Unfriended 3.
Yeah,
Told all through your TikToks.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a
Terrible,
bad idea.
but I swear
No.
I'd make it good. It wouldn't.
It's better than it being over Skype, which is what the first one was, and I loved it.
That's true. Anyway,
I love
sorry.
Unfriended.
Just lots of thoughts.
So Kevin Williamson's writing, I love it. I love some of the lines in here. I mean, okay, the fact that he gets Stan, the jock, to say, "I worked hard for that D. That was my D. I deserve that D." I was like,
He tries to
could
make
get
that,
that D.
Williamson.
He tries to make that character so sympathetic.
Stan?
he just wants that D.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I'm like, get this guy out of here.
No, it really doesn't.
No.
The moment he calls Clea Duvall a beast, I was like, no, fuck you.
Beast. Yes. He also felt like not well casted. I feel like that actor I may have buyed him a little better in a different high school archetype rather than the jock. I wasn't totally buying it from him.
Oh, he was my favorite in the movie when I was a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 17.
But for like reasons that are obvious. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I wanted him to get that D.
he got it. He earned it. He worked so hard for it. No, it's gotta be Elijah Wood. I'm so sorry. It's gotta be.
Oh, see, you and Trace can have Elijah
Okay.
because Trace loves him.
He's just you could throw him around. You know, I like that.
He's just so cute.
What if you want to be the one that gets thrown around?
We could make that work. No, I don't know if I could do that with
I
him.
don't know.
I don't think that would
know.
work with him. You'd have to find somebody else. It wouldn't. Yeah. So then not with Elijah Wood.
If you want to be thrown around,
Then with Josiah. What was his name?
Robert Patrick.
Him. Yeah.
Josiah. I love that is your point of reference with Robert Patrick. It's so fucking
Not Terminator
funny.
2.
Not Terminator
Never
2.
seen it.
biggest movie in the
seen it,
world.
Never seen it.
Oh, it's so good.
This is homosexual rhetoric.
No, that movie is great.
I haven't seen it. I don't know. It just looks so mask for mask.
Oh, it's incredibly masculine. That's why it's incredible. But
It
then
is,
it's
but-
incredibly masculine, but also Sarah Connor is like the sexiest woman on the planet, and she's
Do
incredible.
you mean Laurie Strode? Because I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, okay, maybe I'll give it a go. No, I never will. I'll never do that. Yeah, sometimes straight culture is not that bad, though. So I can give you that.
But the fact that he makes a joke about Our Town, where he's like, at the very beginning, they're talking about not having sets, and the principal says to reuse Our Town's set. Theater nerd in me died laughing because, I don't know if you know Mary Beth, Our Town does not have a set.
Oh.
Oh, I should have known that.
Does not have a
Do you
set.
think he knew
So the
that
fact
writing
that
that? Yes, he does.
Oh,
because it's in the
Of course he
book.
did. He is like, oh,
100%.
man.
Wow, that's genius.
That's why it made me laugh this time.
The
I
Our
didn't
Town
get it
set.
when I was a teen, but there is no. Our Town is basically like typically
It's
a bunch of chairs.
set- It's very Rent, actually.
Yes.
Also, and this is not his intention because COVID was not happening, but when Selma Hayek is like sneezing on everybody,
I was triggered by that.
I was like,
I was triggered by there being so many people in a hallway. I was like, this is wrong. This is not a good idea.
she was like sneezing, and everyone's like, they were like, "Oh, go home, take a sick day." She's like, "No, I want to use my sick day for when I'm feeling good."
I
which
know.
made me laugh.
Yes.
I was like,
Same,
oh,
girl.
so her germs are going to defeat the aliens.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was gonna.
No.
Sorry, my contact's freaking out. I thought she was gonna have like, oh, she's.
You are an alien.
That was an accidental perfect
You're
callback.
getting dried out because of your contact,
And your name's Mary
Delilah.
Beth.
Oh,
Disconnect.
Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Oh, Jesus Christ. You got me. What am I just going? My skin started bubbling.
Faint, face veins, yeah.
But yeah, that point where she's like just sneezing and coughing, I was like, I can't do this. I can't ever see anyone cough near another person again.
So scary. When people touch each other in movies now, I'm like, no, go home. Stay home.
I would like to quickly talk about scat, the drug he sells in ballpoint pens to random kids outside, along with fake IDs. That is caffeine and other household products. So
I mean, isn't that what meth is, to be honest?
I was going to say, so he's making, literally this kid is making like meth light in the basement. And he's selling kids meth.
Yeah, absolutely. If not worse.
If not, and the fact that he's so smart, I'm like, I don't think having a ton of test tubes in your basement making drugs necessarily means you're smart. He is a smart character. I know that.
I don't
but
agree.
It's just very...
I think it does. I couldn't do it. And I don't know.
Fair.
Maybe I could. I don't know.
Doesn't get high on his own supply. My other favorite line.
Like 3 episodes of Breaking Bad, but I did learn that you need a special kind of tub to break up a body in with acid.
You sure
you do. Or
so
it'll
I did
burn
learn
a
that.
hole.
I don't want that shit falling down through your ceiling.
That's so scary.
It was so gross.
So gross. Another 2 mask for me energy, to be honest.
Oh, it's so good though. I do think we need to talk briefly about the asshole in the room, though. The fact that Harry Knowles is in this movie.
Oh my god! Yes! Hit my microphone.
I'm so sorry.
Harry Knowles was in one of the scenes with the teachers. He was playing a teacher, and he is the is still, I guess, the owner of Ain't It Cool News. Did you ever read Ain't It Cool News?
I know of it. I'm scared. I feel like this isn't going in a good direction, though. I'm kind of excited.
He was a member of the Austin Film Critics Association, and he would host a button-up-a-thon every year in Austin, where it was like a bunch of movies. He was sort of like, unfortunately, the face of geek criticism back in the early 2000s, and he is also a sexual predator, apparently, with sexual assault allegations that popped out in like 2017. Mm-hmm. And he's sort of like I don't know, kind of a starfucker in a lot of ways. And he showed up in a lot of horror movies.
I forgot
like The Faculty.
Can you see his name one
was
more time? I have
in
to Google, because I know
Harry Knowles.
What a scary name. Any relation to Beyonce? Sorry.
Not once you see a picture, you will laugh the fact that you even asked that question.
Oh no, I thought Beyonce. Oh yeah, I remember him. He was a kid? He was a teen in this?
No,
he was a teacher in this. He was in the teacher's room.
Wasn't he the one getting wrapped up because the copy
by
like
the nurse?
Copier's
Of course, by the hot nurse as he's being wrapped up by. He's also a head in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. He was in Monkey Bone.
Wow, I didn't realize
he was in The Ghost of Mars. He was in a lot of movies because like people felt like they had to suck up to him because of his reviews, and he's kind of an asshole, and it bothers me whenever I see him in a movie anymore.
I feel like you can't review a movie that you're in, right? You're not supposed to do that, right? I feel like that's ethically weird. If you're in a movie, why would you review it?
Yeah, he hasn't made a movie since 2011, so that's a good sign.
Good.
I didn't know about this. This is fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's just every time he pops up in one of these old movies, I'm like, oh, that's right. He was a thing for a moment.
It's so weird when you watch movies from the 90s and you're like, oh God, remember that person before they were gross, but then remember they were outed for being gross. I feel like that's so much. Is there anything else that we wanted to hit with The Faculty?
Can we talk very briefly about how awesome Famke Janssen's tentacle head is?
Very awesome. Incredible.
It's incredible. That was the reason I wanted to watch the movie. I saw that GIF and I was like, well, now I have to watch this movie because this is an incredible moment.
Can you say that sentence again? It's the name and then tentacle head behind it? Because I can't say her name.
Famke Janssen?
Famke Janssen.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Famke Janssen's tentacle head.
Wouldn't that be a good band name?
Yes.
It would be.
What if I got a tattoo of her, like an outline of her tentacled head, just like walking around my elbow?
That would be so cool.
You need to do this.
Like,
And
put
I feel
it
like
up here.
it would stroll into the garden of your sleeve.
Oh, that's true. What if my artist just like puts her like in like the one little blank spot I have left, like behind the bat on my elbow, just like Famke Jensen's head with a little tentacle waving out?
Is the other side horror?
I think so. That wasn't the initial intention,
That's
but like
cool.
I have a couple of them, so I think that's going to be the vibe.
Her head was giving me Mars Attacks vibes, though.
Yes.
Yes. It was this. That when did that come out? That's got
96.
Yeah.
Okay, so very very close to this.
I can never tell when things are so close together. Like, did they see Mars Attacks before they started like writing and making the faculty? Like, I
feel like they kind of had to.
yeah,
think so,
okay.
too.
I don't. Production timelines are weird in my head. I don't understand how you make movies.
I
know how that
spoke
worked.
with Grady Hendrix not so long ago, and apparently at one point he was tapped to write a faculty like reboot for TV that never happened. Wouldn't that have been so fucking cool?
Written
would've
by
been
Grady
cool.
Hendrix.
I don't think it was like his project though. I think he was just like on it. He was just like involved.
Still,
Apparently Kevin Williamson is not that bad. Because according, I know, isn't that surprising? Don't you feel like he would be that bad?
Don't you love to hear it? You're like, oh, thank God! Like, please
Yeah.
let one person be like.
Yes. It's always
kind of
extra
normal.
disappointing when the gays turn out to be monsters too, which is of course most, but it hurts more for me.
I was just thinking about how I was just reading an article about Jeffrey Boyer Chapman when he was finally talking about his time on Drag Race Canada and how atrocious his experience was.
Well, you're speaking to the right person about that because I'm RuPaul. No, I'm not. I am Canadian though. Yeah,
I know you
He
are.
got destroyed by the internet because people just thought he was annoying, so they thought they could send him
He
death
did.
threats.
And he was really upset that it was coming from the queer community because he was used to it coming from everyone else. So it was really upsetting that it was coming from...
Gays are vicious. It's better
Gays
he
are
knows
horrible.
that now. I will say I'm not... Did you see Drag Race Canada?
Of course I did.
Okay, well, I bet you Mary Beth has not, so it's a safe question. What did you think?
But again, we established this. Mary Beth's not a gay man,
No,
to my
I
knowledge.
know. She's a straight man. I stand by it.
You have taken her voice away, I think. Like a straight man would.
No, I was doing the Ursula. Did it read? No, you can't even see my hands.
No.
Yeah, gays are vicious and also often predators too. It's all bad, basically.
On that note, do we want to wrap
All right,
up?
well, bye guys.
This was a wild discussion.
Please tell me you're gonna edit some of this out.
No, it's going out just exactly as it is.
It's happened to
We
me
don't do
before.
it in
Where I've
the
been on a
editing.
podcast and they just released it as is. So
Let's wrap this up and give us our rating out of 5. Terry, how many Famke Jensen's tentacled heads out of 5 do you give the faculty?
I'm going to just say it outright. I think it's 4. I'm going to give it 4.
Okay.
Famke Janssen tentacled heads out of 5 for this. I think this is a really decent movie. I love the themes that it is exploring. We didn't really hit on it too much, but I love the fact that it's talking about conformity, and the climax of the film happens in a boys' locker room, which is the epitome of the area of conformity where anyone who is remotely different is going to feel uncomfortable. And so I love that there are points at that are pulling from like outsider perspective, queer perspective, that kind of aspect of going to high school that are confronted in this. And then by the end of it, it is portraying this idea of like, the ending almost reminds me a little bit of minus the stinger of sort of the way that Nightmare on Elm Street ends, where it's like, all of a sudden everything is bright and shiny and everything is perfect and everything's back together. But there's that hint that maybe it's not. And that's the way I feel when I've watched this movie. There's no giant ending where it's like someone jumps out and goes, haha. But like the way it's portrayed is so subtly dystopian that I think this movie is great. So I'm going to give it 4 Famke Janssen tentacled heads out of 5. What about you, Mary Beth?
I think I will also give it 4 Famke Jensen's tentacled heads out of 5. I really loved it the first time I saw it, but this time around I appreciated it even more for the writing. Especially, and after talking about it, like Josh and Terry, you're talking about Kevin Williamson's writing and how clever it is, and how like he is really good at writing this like really smart dialogue about teenagers. Like it's very obviously like written kind of like in stereotypes and based in existing tropes, but at the same time, like, he does some really interesting stuff with it and subverts those expectations in a really cool way and applies them to, like, horror movies and creates these really cool, unique things that, you know, stand the test of time no matter how old the CGI looks. And we'll always have Josh Hartnett's hair like this, immortalized forever. So thank you, the faculty, partially to the faculty. I know it's also an H2O, but I'm also going to thank the faculty.
The true parasite has been living on his head.
It's
like
true.
In every scene, it
Since
was like
the beginning of time.
facing a different direction.
It was.
It was.
It's
Yeah.
very impressive. I think one of the heads goes to his hair both sticking up in the back and also being flat at the same time. Like, he wore a hat. Like, he had both hat hair and bed head at the same time, and I don't understand how you accomplish that, but I'm pretty impressed.
You know those brooms that have like the black bristles that if sometimes they get like pushed out of place? That's what that is to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's just, it's a great movie. And there's a Mary Beth in it. There's never a Mary Beth. So, and there's
a literal Mary Beth, like the word on the screen.
It's true. There is. Josh, do you have the final word? How many from Kate Jensen's Tentacled Heads out of 5 do you give this movie?
I must say
also going to have to give this 4 sexy Janine Garofalos out of 5, actually. And I thought about it because I was like, is this a 3? There's a 3 energy sometimes to this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But of course you have to give it the benefit of 1998. And it's so smart and so fun. And the cast, what the fuck? Like, how are these people in this movie? It's just such a great example of what the late 90s had to offer. And I owe so much to that era, so I have to give this a 4.
Hell yeah. We didn't even talk about how this was like a big movie for Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, his name hasn't even been said, which I am okay with. You know, we don't, so many men. Yeah, the direction was so good. Like, beautiful even.
I love when the word Dimension Pictures comes up on the screen.
I do too, which is so triggering a little bit because of, you can guess why.
The Weinstein.
But I don't think a single episode of my podcast has occurred without talking about Dimension Films. So, like, it's just, we have to make friends with it to some degree.
So thank you so much, Josh, for joining us to talk about The Faculty. Where can our listeners find you, and what do you have coming up that you'd like to share?
I think most importantly is you could check out my podcast, Development Hell, and we're on social, so you can find us at Development Hell Pod on Instagram or Devil Hell Pod on Twitter. You can find me at Josh Korngut just about anywhere in the world. And what am I working on? So Development Hell, we're having like a series next month for October where we're going to do 4 Halloween movies that never happened. So there's the alternative Halloween 4. There's a bunch of weird ones in the pipeline that I'm excited for. So check that out.
Awesome.
All right, listeners, you've heard from us, but we want to hear from you. What's your experience with The Faculty? You can send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews.
And I'm a Gaily Dreadful.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe.
Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. I mixed them up for some reason. I don't know why. Thank you to everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
Until next time.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is the briefing room?
It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.